Bro,
just by how you look.
I did some crazy shit in prison because I had to do it to survive, you know?
Not no OnlyFans type shit, right?
No, nothing. Yeah, I mean, I did almost get like raped by a male prison guard, but.
Welcome to another episode of Blanco Podcast, where we cover everything from the come up to the bust down. I got my co-host in the building, Blanco Rob.
Yep.
And we have a very special guest in the building, my guy Ian Bick.
Why can't I be Blanco Bick or something
You could
like
be
that?
You and Blanco Rob match, so I guess you could be the triplet for today.
I'll be Blanco Bick.
Blanco Bick.
Thanks for having me, guys, and thanks for coming on my show a few weeks ago. Your episode just came out, and smoking the competition, you know, it's doing pretty well. How do you guys feel about it?
Excited and nervous, you know.
And well, hopefully, you know, it brings some business, and thank you guys so much for this, man. This was awesome, incredible gift. Only at Blanc's Gold.
Custom locked in for my guy.
Yeah, we got him a custom locked in pen name with his name on the back, and it's a handcuff and a bell. It's a pretty nice piece. His first custom chain, right?
Yeah, and you guys designed it all yourself. I didn't contribute any ideas. I just sent the logo, and you did your thing. You're really cool.
Yeah, we gotta try to turn you out. He's gonna buy more pieces.
Yeah, no, I'm committed now.
We're trying to get that YouTube money one way or another.
You guys are the first jewelers to turn me out, you know.
Yeah.
But it's all about making connections, you know. Like we wouldn't be here if you guys didn't reach out to me.
Yeah.
Come to the studio, you know, on a Sunday, and it was a Sunday, right? Drink some Magic Mind matcha shots and hung out with me.
Wait, I thought it was mocha.
It's matcha. Yeah, you guys were calling it.
I thought that my dosage wasn't that great, but the drink is amazing. That could have been better though.
Yeah. No, it was cool, man. It's all about relationships and meeting people, you know.
Yeah, that's. I really appreciate it, man. Especially helping us, you know, in a way helping to launch our platform.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man.
Thank you for the opportunity, man.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, so Ian, you want to give the viewers a little backstory, like where you from, your upbringing, things like that?
So I was actually born in Manhattan, but then my family moved us to my dad's like summer home in Danbury, Connecticut. And that's where I grew up. They renovated his summer home and then lived there my whole life, like some suburbs. It was actually like a little Jewish community called Lake Wabeeka. I'm half Jewish. Grew up on a lake, good family, good home. And you know, me, my brother, my mom, my dad, we always had like a dog, family vacations. You know, a little bit of private schooling, then public high school, and never went to college. Got into the event planning business at a very young age and kind of ran with that.
What were you planning, like bar mitzvahs and stuff?
No, I went from house parties at my parents' house, like 200, 300, 400 people parties, to then school dances. And then from there I went to teen parties. I don't know if you guys had those.
Yeah, we got them all over the city. It's probably a little more ratchet than Connecticut, but
yeah, we did teen parties and I would make like 10 or 15 grand cash in the night. At 15, 16 years old, made a little business. Then got in over my head and went into concerts, worked booking like Big Sean, Chief Keef, Tyga, all of these big DJs and rap stars, lost a ton of money, lied about it. And then it ended up turning into a criminal case. FBI ended up picking up the case, and before I knew it, at 19 years old, I was indicted by the FBI, IRS, a couple other, you know, divisions I didn't even know we had in America. And the crazy thing is, while that was going on, while I went on trial and whatnot, I had gotten this idea to reopen the club I was promoting at before, and it was called Tuxedo Junction. So I'm this now 18, 19-year-old club owner who's on trial with the feds for 15 federal counts and running this club, and I book like the Chainsmokers, Steve Aoki, 21 Savage, big names, and I was just promoting that while fighting the FBI.
How does a 19-year-old convince sponsors to even fund your endeavors? How do you do that? How do you put that on?
I guess because they just saw my success at an early age. Like I was successful as a kid. I made a bunch of money. The events were packed. You can't fake that, you know. It wasn't fraud in that sense, you know. It was real. And I just got in over my head. And had all those concerts worked out, it would have been a huge success. And also on the flip note, if I didn't lie about them losing money, I still would have been fine too, because it was a legitimate investment. But when you mix lying and money and this and that, it's never a good recipe for success.
So why were you lying? Were you trying to raise more funds, or you just felt like kind of failure type thing?
Yeah, I felt bad. I lost friends, family, money. You know, I was so successful. I was never addicted to drugs or anything. I was addicted to like being liked and that whole atmosphere. You know, I like the popularity, and that's what kind of carries over to my business now. Like, it's cool to be popular and get those attention, but you have to use it in the right way. So that's why like I focus it now on like the guests that come on. The show's not about me. Locked In isn't about me anymore. I built a platform telling my story, like prison and stuff, but it's about the guest. You know, like when you guys come to do an interview, I barely say anything. I just guide the conversation. And that's what I think is cool about the show.
Yeah, I agree.
And try to get try.
So how'd you end up losing the money though? Was it the artist that was charging high, or just irresponsible, or just wasn't keeping good bookkeeping?
Well, a lot of things, from artists not showing up. Like Chief Keef stood me up for a show, overpaying. You know, we were paying way too much money. Production costs, everyone was taking advantage. Literally everything that could go wrong, and then not promoting. I got lazy. You know, I went from doing all the hustling. That's why I do everything myself. I mean, you guys saw when you came to the studio, I do the filming, the editing, everything, the clipping, the social media, because I don't want anyone else to do that, because I knew what happened when I got lazy. Even like a great example earlier this year, you know, like I went from doing 4 clips a day on YouTube and stuff to trying to like start a little production business on the side. And my YouTube views went down a lot just doing that 1 a day, and I was outsourcing it. And I reeled myself back in a couple months ago. I'm like, I got to just focus on what I'm good at, what's meant for me in my life, not doing editing for someone else. I didn't quit my job to go work for someone else, you know?
Yeah, you're really good at what you do too. I give it to you.
Thank you, man. I mean, and it's simple.
Yeah.
There's 2 cameras. It's not like podcasters with similar views and platforms, huge sets, a whole team. It's simple, you know? That's why I respect what you guys are doing. This is simple. This is all you need. You don't need the whole fancy thing. You just, you know, you start somewhere. And a lot can be done on your iPhone. I got my first 100,000 followers on TikTok with an iPhone. Nice. That's what I tell people that come in. Your stories are powerful. Like, if you share your stories about how you guys started this business, just, you know, your life growing up that we talked about on the podcast, that's powerful.
You have a particular moment that stands out in your mind that you felt like was a turning point?
What?
I always give credit to my friend Mike Squires. He was a videographer at Tuxedos, and he was the one that convinced me to quit my job, because I worked at Whole Foods for almost 4 years after prison. It helped me rebuild my life, credit, dog, family, relationship, all of these things, but it wasn't fulfilling my passion to be an entrepreneur. And the thing with working corporate is, like, you can only do so much. The bar is set to a certain level. Like, you guys can sell unlimited jewelry as you set your mind to. But if you are working for someone else, you can only do so much. You can only work set amount of hours. So I found myself not being able to get to the level I wanted to in the time I wanted to get to it. I was ready to take the next step immediately. And at a place like Whole Foods, they didn't see that for like 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 years down the line. So he convinced me to quit and start sharing my story. And it was when I finally owned, like, talking about prison, that my clips started to go viral.
Yeah, but I mean, your whole life you pretty much got all gas, no brakes. You could start in 15, 16. You didn't even want Whole Foods back then.
Yeah, no, I've always had a job. Like, I've always been a hustler. I mean, when I first started out, dude, like, I made no money doing social media. I was monetized on Facebook very quickly, but my tax form got screwed up. So they owed me like $8,000 for like 6 months. And keep in mind, I have no income. I cashed out my 401k, which had like a few grand in it. The health insurance thing that had like $1,000 in it, and I maxed out $30,000 of credit cards because I still got to pay my bills. For like 6 months, I lived off that, and I started driving Uber. I would pick up guests at our old studio we had in Poughkeepsie. I would drive from Danbury to Poughkeepsie, which was an hour, then go pick up the guests in the city, which was 2 hours, drive them back, which was another 2 hours, and then I'd go home and do Uber. And then aside from Uber, I started an OnlyFans, and I made $10,000 doing that in 2 months. So I was hustling, man. That's the grind. And there's so many people that come in there like, I want to be big on social media. I want to start a podcast. It doesn't happen overnight, you know? I grinded for that. And I didn't get to the level that I really wanted to be at until this year.
All right, I can't let this slide. I gotta ask you, what was your OnlyFans content? Because I'm pretty sure they're gonna kill us in the comments to know.
Dude, I'm so open about it. Like, I tell people, and it's actually funny because when I started the OnlyFans, like, if I did an OnlyFans now, I'd kill it. I would make so much money.
Just do a prison scene all the way up.
Yeah. So I had only like 5,000 Instagram followers, and there's some OGs from those initial 5,000 at the time last year. This was like March. That will slide in my DMs like once a week. Hey, are you still selling pics, or do you still got the OnlyFans, or they'll Snapchat me. But you know, it's just like nudes, you know, jerking off, nude pics.
Was most of your customers men or women?
It was all men. It was like 90% men. There was a couple women. I tried to like collaborate with another like girl that was on OnlyFans, and it didn't really work.
Yeah, the collabs is where it's at. You would have probably enjoyed it.
But then like you have to sext with them, and what they really wanted was for me to hook up with another dude, and I'm not gay, and I'm not doing that. I'm not putting anything in my ass, and I'm not. There was some weird shit. I mean, I sold feet pictures. You said you have to grind. Your money doesn't come from subscriptions. You know, that's why people do like the 75% off this or that. Your money comes from selling photos in the DMs. And there would be days I'd make $1,000 selling photos, slinging dick shots. Yeah, requests, things like that, but it's tiring, and that wasn't me. But I had to do that to get to where I'm at now.
What'd your family say about that, especially being Jewish?
My dad laughed about it. You know? I don't think my mom knows to this day about that.
She's probably gonna know now.
No, she
your
doesn't
podcast
really
career would have still took off without the OnlyFans?
I don't know. I see. The thing with me is I would have found a way. I would have got I was thinking about going back to Whole Foods, like a couple more months, and I was, you know, considering. I have a close friend that still works there, and he would have got me a job. Like, I left on good terms, gave my 2 weeks. I was a hard worker, you know. So I would have done that part time while still building the podcast business. Honestly, looking back on it, if I stayed at Whole Foods for like 4 more months, I would have been golden. Never would have been in debt. But everything worked out. You know, I got out of credit card debt, and I cover my bills. Like, to me, all I care about is paying my bills. Like, I don't need anything extra. That's it. Like, I just need enough to pay the bills, because there's a lot of bills. You got car insurance, health insurance as an entrepreneur, your rent. Now I have my studio rent, everything, the car, you know. So I'm not like into like the fancy stuff that a lot of like these influencers are, as you could see with my lack of knowledge about jewelry.
Well, not yet. You might get turned on to that too.
I'll get there. Yeah, you know, I don't think I'll ever be at that level. Like, when I was 18, I spent like $6,000 on a Gucci outfit, and I told myself I'll never do that again, because that's not me, you know.
Yeah.
I'll take a couple $100 outfit. But the chain thing is different. Like, a cool chain, I think, because that's more like my brand and stuff. To me, I'd rather spend the money on that than clothing.
Yeah, but when you have kids, people don't look at jewelry, like, you could pass that down to it. Some memorabilia, it's like back in the day, I forgot what they used to call it, when, like, family heirlooms, like, it's a little more ratchet now. It's not, it's like it used to be, but when you pass it down to your kid, there's history behind it, especially when you get something custom.
Yeah.
It's nice, you know, it tells a story.
Well, especially the locked in. That's why I really like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just symbolic. That's why like my tattoos are all symbolic. Like, I've locked in tattooed on me. I have the club logo. I do things like I got McLovin tatted on me to support that guy's business.
On YouTube,
yeah, like stuff like that.
Same way, I got my logo tatted there too.
Yeah, like maybe when you guys give the final design, like, I'll get this tatted on me, and then we'll do like a promo video for that.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be cool. Yeah, we'll do something really cool. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, hopefully you don't gotta go back to Whole Foods. If you do, you can bring the chain, your tattoos, and tell your story to everybody.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm at the point now where I'm so far into being like a successful entrepreneur now, which is different from when I was a kid. I was successful for only a little bit, and the rest was all bullshit. Like, I owned a club that lived with my parents, you know? Now I have a real business. Once you establish that, you're never going to go work for someone else. Like, at this point, I'd rather be on the street than work for someone else, you know? And that's just the way it's going to be forever. Like, I'll never work for someone else again.
Nice, congrats. I think you win in the content world because you're like shameless. I think some people try to be too cool, or they try to.
A lot of it's fake, man. I've met a lot of like influencers and stuff, and it's all like a fraud, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of these Instagram influencers, a lot of it's fake followings. You know what I do now when someone DMs me that has a lot of followers? I look at their YouTube, because that's how you tell. If they have a successful YouTube with views, like actual views, they're legit. But everyone else, it's easy to build on TikTok. It's easy to build on IG, you know? It's not easy to build on YouTube. That's what you want to look for.
Yeah, I haven't met too many people, just in New York especially, like, that's pretty genuine. From the moment we met you, you've been genuine. You're generally a happy guy.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're very easy to talk to, you know, and then I don't know, before we met you, I guess we were expecting, we didn't know what to expect.
That's what everyone says. They say
I'm surprised
that.
you let us on the show, to be honest.
But that's what the show's about. My show thrives off of you because you're not what everyone sees. Like, the same celebrity goes on the same podcast.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's podcast tells the same story. Where has anyone heard the Nick Blanc story? On that professional level, you know, no one's heard that. So it's interesting, you know, and you were relatable and you were humble and people like that, you know? And it's obviously branding too. Like, if I just put your name on the thumbnail, it wouldn't work. I have to brand it a certain way. But that drives the views, and that's what I do. I do the marketing, you know?
I see a lot of the clips get more trolls than the actual video when they see just a portion of it and it gets out of context.
Those clips of you have been doing great, though, because you have the look, you know? Like, you got the chain. Like, I can always tell when someone comes in if it's going to do well. Like, we were talking about Leroy.
Yeah.
I knew from the second he walked in, it was going to do well. Yeah. Because if you have a look, you know, that's why my clips have gone well, because I look like McLovin, or I have the rosy cheeks or the glasses. When you look a certain way and you're talking about a certain subject, like that line about, I think the first clip I dropped of you was like getting beat up by the guards or whatever, you know, on my Instagram. And people are like, did this happen to him? You know, because you're clean cut, you look good, and then, you know, people click on it.
Yeah, people pass judgment too, though, because I know the teeth definitely help the look. People.
Yeah, the teeth definitely help.
Yeah, people joke on my teeth in the interview, but these look better than they did before, so go see a dentist.
I don't understand why they were saying, like, go back to whoever you got them from. I thought they looked great.
Well, yeah, we naturally got big teeth. Like, I don't have no veneers, and my teeth are still big.
Are those veneers?
Yeah, they're veneers.
I thought they looked good. I don't know why people are judging, you know?
Well, I think it's a mystery. I think people think he probably got his teeth knocked out.
You could have said it
Well, they
knocked
like
out,
shit,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, no, but it was cool, man. Like, I like the natural stories. Like, that guard you introduced me to, he's never been on a show before.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to do huge numbers.
I don't
you know?
think so, too, especially when you get him in his element, in the zone.
Yeah, and we got to say, Blanc's Gold connected us.
And that's why we were giggling, because it's funny to see him, like, serious and not actually being him. We get to see him.
Yeah, he was a little, like, kind of giving, like, interview vibes when you read it, but
Yeah.
when you get him loosen up, he got some.
Yeah, y'all see it on Ian's channel when he come on. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, maybe because you guys are out in the city, maybe you help get guests, and I'll just say those episodes are sponsored by you guys. We can do something like
We
that.
could fill your roster up, yeah.
Yeah.
We was in the hood a long time. We know a lot of
You know what? It's because in the hood, like Brooklyn, you know, like the stories I told on the channel for people in my neighborhood, they wouldn't even care about. They probably didn't even watch YouTube.
Mhm.
It's like another day for them. So, but the internet, obviously, they're intrigued by it. They want to know what this and that. So,
Yeah.
I guess it's like a culture thing as far as New York, because I get intrigued sometimes with West Coast stuff because it's kind of like, damn, they really like that.
Yeah, a lot. I just interviewed the guy that did my tattoo is a skinhead, ex-skinhead enforcer from California prison. So, you know, then I told him I'd come back to a shop and do the tattoo and promote it, and that TikTok's at like 200,000 views almost, which is really cool.
I always wondered that how would I do in like a California prison because I'm half white and half Puerto Rican, so
I think you would have been
I
fine.
would have to definitely go with the Spanish people. I'm sorry.
It's all about how you carry yourself, you know?
Yeah, he is out here breaking felons. He's like the Jewish Diddy.
The Jewish Diddy. That was funny, dude.
Yeah, well, in certain contexts, the OnlyFans kind of pushes that a little bit.
Yeah, man. I did it. It's part of everyone's got that story. I was rock bottom and I was hustling. I did what I had to do. You know, I don't regret that.
That's what we love to hear.
Yeah, and there's dick pics out there somewhere rolling around on me that someone's got, you know?
Yeah, price for it out.
Everybody sees the viral Ian, but they didn't hear the Whole Foods Ian. I didn't even know it was an OnlyFans. That's crazy.
Don't go looking, man. What are you doing?
Trust me, I won't.
Yeah, but that's part of it. Everyone's got that story, you know, before they got to where, you know, they got to.
So you're half Jewish. What's the other half?
Italian.
Oh, Italian.
Yeah. My
Okay,
mom's
guess-
side's Italian Catholic.
That's where the criminal side came from.
The Italians, yeah. No, they're so not criminal at all. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people like trying to get in the YouTube world, maybe even prison content?
I just say, you know, be consistent. I know that's like very cliche to say, but like I've not taken one day off of posting.
Yeah.
Consistency wins every time.
When we were researching to try to start this to see if we wanted to take it on, I read that most people don't make it past 20 episodes. So we try to get 20 episodes before we launch.
Yeah, dude. I did the podcast stats are like you could be in the top 1% of podcasts with I think it's like if you have over 1,000 listeners or something like that, because the bar is set so low because so many people can't even make it to that threshold, you know?
Yeah.
It's extremely hard to grow on Spotify and Apple. Extremely. You know, you have to work hard for that. And YouTube is hard to grow on, you know? These are very hard to grow on. That's why you look at like big TikTokers who are looking to make a podcast. They give up after like 10 episodes.
Man, they used to the instant gratification like everybody else.
Yeah, you know, like Tony, the TikToker.
I gotta see him. If we see him, I'm pretty sure.
So he had like a girlfriend, ski mask girl, and she started a podcast, but she stopped after 10 episodes. It doesn't really convert well, you know? Like you could have millions of followers, but the podcast game is so hard to convert that into it. So that's why I know that I have something that I'm running with, and it's growing, and that's because it's not based on me. You know, if every week I couldn't do 5 episodes a week based on me. I could barely do 1 episode, you know? So every week, every episode, someone's got something new. So, you know, consistency and never giving up. Because there's low days, you know, there's days where your views are lower than normal. That's a social media game. And then there's days where it's higher. You have to weather the storm, stay consistent, and you never know which video is going to blow up.
When you're in prison, you ever picture yourself being here right now?
In your store? No.
Metaphorically.
2 weeks ago, I didn't picture myself being here. 3 weeks ago. But no, never, man. I thought I was going to get back in the club business, and I kind of put that aside after a couple of months of realizing it wasn't going to work out, and I thought I was going to be at Whole Foods the rest of my life. And I wanted to at one point. I was so passionate about it because it gave me a new life I never had before. And I think had this not worked out, I probably would have went back to it or something. Because you never know. Like I understand what I've been able to obtain is like very hard to get to. But it's also like it's building relationships, it's talking to people, it's being good to people. Like whenever I have someone that comes to the studio, hey, you want to use the studio whenever it's sitting here, you're welcome to use it because all it costs me is my time, you know, to put together it for them or anything like that. I try to get back. I'm doing this thing where I'm mentoring like youth in the probation, like juvenile probation that are getting into trouble. And like we're gonna do a thing where like once a week they come and like we get them food and video games and stuff, and they can just sit and kind of chill. And they see the studio, and that's kind of inspiring because they see where that came from. Like without prison, there was no studio. So that's why I like that atmosphere of the studio. It's like you walk in and it's like all of that came from that, and it tells a story, like the pictures on the walls and everything. It's really cool to see.
It's definitely impressive, especially the people that could steal while we're in the boat.
Yeah, it's really cool, and that was like I added a little bit each time. Like when I first moved in there a year ago, it was blank, empty, you know. Put all the work in myself, painted it, got it together. I mean, he'll tell you over here when he came that first weekend, I told him that this is going to be done by Monday, and he didn't believe me. And we filmed our first episode that Monday. But you know, it's a grind, and you keep pushing. You know, it's like this. You started it, and you're building. You're in the building phase.
Who was the inspiration coming in that made you want to get into prison job?
I didn't watch any. I didn't know there was a prison genre until I started, and people would connect. You know, first it was prison TikTok, and I was always intimidated by YouTube. I didn't start on YouTube till months after. But I connected with other people, so I never knew. And I think that's also the problem now. I think in any space, when you look at someone, you want to replicate that, and that's where I went different. I went in my own way without seeing what other people were doing, and that became natural and organic for me. So I'm telling prison stories from my perspective. And when I see new people that come to the studio that want like a prison type podcast, they're trying to maybe either replicate me or someone else, but it's so important you have your own take on it. Yeah. You can't just interview the same people I did and it's going to be successful. Yes. You have to have your own take. So I did it my way without looking at anyone. And then as I got going, I looked at others to see how I could tweak.
Thanks. Cool. We kind of do the same, but we try to like entrepreneur. So when they have a struggle story, it makes the entrepreneurship that much more glorious.
That's what it's about. I don't know how many jewelry stores are filming after hours at 8 o'clock, closing their shop to do it. So
yeah, but like you said, we got the space. Like you might as well utilize it every way we can.
Yeah, and you hustle and you grind. You build character and stuff, and you build a look, and you help grow it. And you go on more shows.
Yeah, I think we're similar like you too. Like we like talking. Not the average person, but people that you see in the street, and everybody's always wondering, I wonder what he does or how he got that kind of stuff. And breaking people like that, I think it's good to hear.
And you don't know until you talk to them. Like I wouldn't be a client if you didn't get to talk to me and like take a chance or see what you can do. It goes a long way to do something for someone in any type of business. Like when I was running the studio business, first one's on me. You could see it get a feel for it. You know, you guys did the same thing with me essentially, and then you build that rapport and you show the person your work. Like you could pull someone off the street. You don't know if he's a millionaire or not, but if he has a cool story and he sits and talks with you, you might end up buying one of your most expensive pieces in here.
Yeah, because if we pulled you up the street, I never knew you was a coming.
Yeah, a lot of people say
They
that.
got some people trusted it because they guard down.
Yeah, but you really don't know, and you gotta like shoot your shot, like we were talking about earlier, like coming up with designs for people and you know sending that and showing them the vision, you know. And I'm grateful now that I built up enough of a platform when people will reach out to me. But I remember those early days of having to reach out to people, and it was a lot of no's. Like so many people I reached out to wouldn't give me the time of day.
Yeah, it's hard for us not to take it personal because when we're being in the jewelry industry, we do rub elbows with a lot of people with influence, and then when we get a no, it's kind of, it reminds you that the relationship wasn't as genuine as you might have thought.
Oh, I learned that all in the music business. I think I learned that the hardest, you know. But it's cool to see it now on the flip side. And also the cool thing about podcasting is you're not paying for relationships. Where in the music, it's all money. Get an artist to come in, it's money. Podcasting,
This is the back end as a promoter.
always, dude. There's always something. But now in the podcasting, like the people you're in the room with, you're not paying them to be there, you know? You're just organically making these relationships. It's all relationships in podcasting. I talked to a guy that was high up in the record business in LA, and he's like, oh, would you, and this was a big artist, he was like, would you pay, you know, it was like 50 or 60 grand for him to sit down for an hour? I said, I would never. You never recoup that on one episode.
Yeah.
That's not gonna, yeah, it'd get me some views, but yeah, that's not business in this. And it's so different because they're used to doing, you know, 50, 60 grand for a 10-minute club appearance.
Yeah.
It's just it's entirely different.
What's your take on people criticizing the jail genre and they feel like it's time? Like, would you pivot if that was to come true, or you think it's going to be it for a while?
I mean, the jail genre might be dying, but mine is so different because I interview prosecutors, attorneys, cops. You know, I interview a lot of cops. I interview addicts. It's wide range. But there are other platforms that just do prison, and I think that's kind of burnt out. Like, so what I do is, like, every interview I go into is different. Like, I put it in categories. One episode might be a cool crime story, like a bank robber. One might be a cool prison story, like your story was more or less about your prison story. So that's another category. Then you have an addiction story where they talk about jail, crazy jail experiences and their addiction, the things they've done. That's another one. Then some episodes you have a crazy crime story like a bank robber, but he also got, say, 15 years in a penitentiary, so you're going to get the crazy prison stories. If I did every episode just about prison stories, that would get played out. Like today, I think I sat down with someone and we did an interview, and he did 25 years in prison. Most of the conversation was not about prison. It was about the crime leading up to it and what he learned in prison and how he overcame that. So it's just about navigating. And it's also basing their energy level. Like, you didn't strike me as someone that's going to come in and share extremely crazy war stories, but there are other guys that would do that, you know, like that are energetic, and you can pull that from them. So it's reading the room and seeing, you know, what it is. Some guys will sit down with, or brushing over childhood, and right away, okay, first day on the yard, I was a shot caller, I was running with this gang, boom, 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 boom. You know, you have to feel it out, and that's a big aspect of interviewing.
So you feel like you're committed to just making content, like as your content creator at this point?
Yeah, I mean,
Move forward.
I'm gonna get into like doing skits. Like I did drop those prison skits that did well. We're building like a little prison cell upstairs. Yeah, we're gonna do that. I had like a prison cooking show I did last year. We're gonna bring back. And then, you know, if my show ever gets picked up for like, I could see my show being on like a Netflix or a streaming site because it's like kind of made for TV. And I get so many people that Instagram DM me photos of them watching my show from like their bed on YouTube. YouTube is becoming TV. You know, yeah, and it's cool, and the way my podcast is shot and the quality, that's why Spotify is really promoting us heavy right now. We have a deal with Spotify for the next year where they're giving us promotion, and there's not, Rogan's the only one doing as many episodes a week as us right now, high quality, good interviews. So, you know, that's what the direction we're heading in. Thank you, man.
I could see what you're saying, because prison, it could go either way. You could picture like an underdog story, or you could picture like the big tough guy. Like, depends which way you're pitching. It's a whole different audience.
Yeah, you have to pivot and you change. And like the other, I had a psych ward lady on last night. She's never been to prison, so it's just different episodes, you know.
The one that caught that I will start to become a fan was the school shooter one.
Yeah, that was a different perspective too. Yeah, and now I'm like, I was talking about this with someone the other day. I'm at the point now where I've built enough credibility where what guests say on the show doesn't affect me. Like the school shooter episode is a great example. That's an extremely hot topic, and people were talking bad about him.
Well, he was lying.
They felt like it was the fake tears, or they thought they were
like he
fake
wasn't
tears.
empathetic. I thought the story was real. I didn't think he was
Exactly.
lying.
The story was real, yeah, and I think that some was real. I don't know. I don't know how he was feeling, but it's my job to just ask the questions and pull that information.
Well, either way, he got his karma because he got chopped up.
Yeah, that was a crazy situation.
He felt what his victim felt. He said, and that was crazy.
Yeah, that was a really crazy situation when you look at it. And I think the drama with him came because he built a platform based on the sword attack, and a lot of people didn't know about the school shooting aspect,
I won't know his background.
Yeah, but I think it's important to know the whole story. Like, he didn't kill anyone. In his mind, this was what his intention was, a suicide by cop, But, there's holes. You have to go, why would you do that? Why would you do this, But that's why we do these interviews, so you could get the whole person's story.
So I think your perspective was unique because you put out your business completely honest, and you even told them that you don't have an easy bid, and a lot of people wonder if those things could happen in jail, and it could.
Bro,
just by how you look.
I did some crazy shit in prison because I had to do it to survive,
Not no OnlyFans type shit, right?
No, nothing. I did almost get like by a male prison guard, but
Yeah, you posted that a few weeks ago.
yeah, he tried to butter my biscuits, the muffins, but all those stories is what helped build my platform. But I had no problem saying I paid for protection, or I did what I had to do in there to survive, I was a young kid. Everyone looked at me as a snitch or a pedophile off the bat without giving me a chance, when really I was one of the realest dudes in there because I went to trial and I refused to flip on anyone. My business partner flipped on me. So when they didn't give me that opportunity to be that real person, then the game changed, So that was on them. So I did what I had to do to survive, and I don't feel bad about that. And I own that shit,
I think the misconception with prison is everybody thinks it's about being tough and not tough. I think it's not about, I think the person who has least to lose is going to do the best in prison. You can be the toughest guy, but if you're about to come home, you're going to chill out. If you got life, you're going to lose. You're going to be a big dog on the yard. And I think that's the misconception people have, that they think it's about barbaric. No, if you don't care about canceling the charge, you don't care about staying there longer, you want to be a big dog.
Yeah, and people should look after the younger guys if they're straight. If they're a good dude, give the person a chance. Don't put them in one category.
On my expo days, they kind of stood. You thinking back, although we are married, older dudes did home now. So.
Yeah, it's because you're Spanish.
I think that's probably definitely.
But it's different. When you get to one of these yards in federal prison, if you're Spanish, boop, 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 Spanish guys come up to you right away, take care of you, here's your bag, this and that. Black guys, Italians, When you're a white kid like me that's young and nerdy, no one's coming up to you.
So how did you make it through losing the business, and then how did you survive prison mentally and physically? What kept you driven to even now?
I think I've just always had that mentality of I'm never gonna give up, and I think the bar was set so high for me. I owned a club at 18, doing it with these big acts. So if I could pull that off and make it to a trial and do all this shit, I should have been dead with half of the shit I've done and got involved with, then the sky's the limit. I could keep pushing forward.
If you didn't care about shame or nothing like that, why did you go to PC? Why you still population?
Well, I didn't go there intentionally to protected custody. They threw me in
On the
there.
way, he was.
Yeah, I was in the shoe, and they classified it as I didn't check in.
Oh, okay.
There was a video of us wrestling in a room, and a guy had me in a chokehold. They caught it on video, so they put me in a protective custody for that and moved me to a different prison. But I didn't go off the yard. I was strategic. I was I'm gonna figure this shit out, because I knew if I voluntarily checked in, it was gonna be a problem.
Yeah, but that's another thing. You say just slips. You didn't check in, and you still got the shit on this thing.
I know, it's fucked up, man. And all they had to do was just check my paperwork and have me run with someone.
I think you should have made an example out of somebody who's doing right at that.
But it was the best thing that could ever happen to me. If I had a good prison experience, we wouldn't be here right now.
Wait, you could do it again now, knowing what you know now. Would you have done anything different?
Oh yeah, I would go in there with my paperwork and go up to the biggest dude on the yard and be here, this is my paperwork, this is what I'm here for, who am I running with, But I didn't know that. I didn't know politics,
Yeah, you're still young.
Would you interview anybody that gave you a hard time in prison?
Of course, I'll interview whatever. People give me crap. I'd interview a chomo. I think their perspective is interesting. And it's not about not being hard on them, I would still ask the tough questions, but you got to realize they have parents too, grandparents, friends, family. People want to know inside their mind, I would sit down with that. You know, that people are, idolizing Gypsy Rose and stuff, but she still did But then people are giving me a hard time for what I did, There's a lot of, I think you need to be fair across the board, like Anna Delvey. She was on Dancing with the Stars. Great, good for her, congrats to her. But don't treat someone like me from getting like a brand deal or something because I went to prison for fraud, which was a fraction of what she did. And she was very intentional about it. And then she's getting promoted in brand deals and on Dancing with the Stars. Doesn't make sense. I think it needs to be fair and consistent across the board.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Let me ask you a question, right? Is it you don't even have to answer if you don't want to, but
I don't have the OnlyFans anymore.
No.
I'm sorry.
How lucrative is being a podcaster and obviously you do other stuff, TV shows? How lucrative is it?
I mean, it's a good business once you get there. I mean, like our revenue is, anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 a month, and there's highs and there's lows. But it took a while to get there, and I look at it like a pie. You get a little bit from TikTok, a little bit from YouTube, a little bit from ads, a little bit from Facebook, a little bit from Instagram, product placement, this, that, Spotify ads. Podcasting in itself is not a good business. Like if we were based solely on ads, which most podcasts are, I wouldn't make money. I would make a few grand here and there. It's because we monetize the platforms in a strategic way, which anyone can do if you put in the work. People will come to me and they'll say, my YouTube's not getting views, I'm not getting views on this, and I look at it. And these are easy fixes. Are your thumbnails good? Are your titles good? I mean, you look at my thumbnails, you look at my titles. There's a lot of thought and strategy. You're marketing something, My clips are good, my quality's good. You will never see me run an ad on my TikTok ever. Like running some TikTok store shit or, saying drink this product or anything. That's how you kill it, It's all about storytelling. That's a new direction. The age of the influencer is coming to an end. It's about storytelling, sharing your stories. Unless you're already big like an Alex Earl and the people that have already made it. Yeah. But if you want to, I see these people with like 30, 40, 50,000 on TikTok that come up in my TikTok feed and they're like, I'm a full-time influencer, this and that. They're not making money.
So you're like basically compounding the social media.
Yeah, social media is our biggest tool right now. Like TikTok makes it 25% of my income. But most podcasters are not based on social media. That's why most podcasts don't have a YouTube. Some do, like the biggest, the A-list ones, But a lot of the B, C, or D ones don't really have it. You look at Barstool, for example, their podcasts are on YouTube, but they're not rolling in the dough from their YouTubes.
Yeah, I always see them on TikTok.
Yeah, they're rolling in the dough from ad dollars, which is where most podcasts are based on. Like people always come to me, how do you get an advertiser, this and that? We have very limited advertisers on our show. We have some, which just shows there's so much growth opportunity because when we do get those advertisers, then I'll be shopping at your store every week. But we're not there yet, But people, that's why it's not really a lucrative business in that sense.
How'd you learn all of this with no education?
Just trial by error, man, and being on top of it. And I think the biggest thing was diversifying on all platforms because if like I had to have people that are like, oh, this platform's not paying me. Why am I doing it? Well, you never know. Yeah. Programs change all the time. Facebook stopped paying, right? Still posting, then they have a new program. Then they stop that, then you have a new one. Like it comes and goes. My first 600,000 followers on TikTok, I wasn't making money. They just updated their program this year. They were under the old program before and it was paying pennies. But I built it because that drives traction to the podcast, which can lead to more dollars on Spotify. It's like when one goes up, the other one goes down or vice versa. So you have to keep doing it no matter what, even if you're not getting paid for it.
Do you have algorithm tips as far as like a specific time or platform to use?
I used to believe in all that. I went against the norm. Like people are surprised with my thing. Like I do it 7 p.m. At night. Some people will say the morning. I think it doesn't matter. I think good content will perform the way it's supposed to. I don't think it matters the time of day. I posted TikToks when I was in Alaska when it was 3 a.m. over here. And those have blown up. I posted at different times of the day. I'll tell you what my strategy is now. I do 3 times a day on TikTok, and I do 4 on YouTube Shorts. I do 4 on Facebook. I do 2 on Instagram, 1 in the morning and 1 at night, and I do 4 on Snapchat every single day. And I do 5 full-length episodes, interviews a week on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And I have a good thumbnail and I have a good title, and that's kind of my method for it.
You think you grew more from your channel or visiting other people's channels?
We twins. I was going to ask the same question.
I think the biggest success for my growth has been TikTok.
Just your personal thing.
Just my personal TikTok has been the most successful thing. And my best episodes, I'll give you a great example. Leroy, who we were talking about, his clip did 20 million views on TikTok. That translated into 500,000 people going to my YouTube channel and watching that full interview because they were captivated by that clip. That's why the only thing I post on my TikTok is stories, storytelling, the full stories, unedited, raw, just the guest. I rarely put clips of me out there anymore. You know, I try to make it not about me. I do have an episode coming out where it's about more of my story, but like I try to cut out me asking the guest a question. I want to just focus on the guest because it's so clear. You see everything. Like if someone's scrolling through, they see someone like Nick. They're scrolling through, oh, he's got a chain on, he's got the teeth, this and that. Let me watch this video. It's a catchy title. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's the marketing. The TikTok is the gold right there.
Yeah, I think when I first saw your TikTok, I saw your TikTok before you used to your YouTube, and I think I went down the rabbit hole for like 2 hours. I was up to like 2 a.m. just watching videos, and then next day I started watching your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I am more recognized. There will be YouTubers that have 1 million followers, and I could be more recognized than them out in a public place because of my TikTok, because of the reach. You know, I think I have like almost 1 billion views on my TikTok, whereas YouTube I have like 250 million or something in the last couple of years. More people have seen my face on TikTok, so that's what they'll recognize me from. So TikTok is like, for something like you guys, I would make TikToks, or I would go on YouTube Shorts Live talking about, you know, I made this custom jewelry. YouTube Shorts has this new program now where you could go live vertically and it pushes it out to more people. You do a live piece like that, things like that. It's really cool. There's all these new features. But, you know, TikToks, hey, I'm doing this piece for this person, a step by step, you know? You relate that back to prison. I used to do a how to make a prison cheesecake. So in this case, how to make a blah, blah, blah for blah, blah, blah.
How do you approach marketing, not only with your podcast, but like before with the clubs and, you know, getting investors and stuff like that? How do you go about, with networking?
Well, that was a totally different game because that was all flyer, street promo, which I guess it's kind of similar in the way where I'm doing flips like I would do promo and stuff.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is the experience. People will come back if you have a good experience. So that's why my show is simple, but it's a good experience. You have that look, you know? I got it so perfect where when you're watching it on screen, on a big screen, it looks cool. The guest, the black curtain, the good microphone, it's clear, it sounds good. That's the experience. So at all of my events where I went different from other promoters, we gave out free soda, which doesn't really seem like anything, but it made the experience. We always made it fun. You're only as good as your last event, you know? Especially when you're first starting out. Now, like if I have a bad episode, because I'm putting out so much content, people will just go to another one. But imagine those first 10 or 15 episodes were awful. Like you were just terrible, the guest was terrible, everything was terrible. Inaudible, no good video. You know, why is anyone going to return back to that? But if you have something, just a spark of something, because I was a terrible interviewer, my first 20 episodes. I read off a script, like questions, but the quality looked good, and the sound looked good, and the guest stories were interesting. So I adapted over time, but had I not adapted, my following would never have grown.
You know, thanks for advice. We're working out the kinks now for you guys to see that episode.
But that's why the comments are important in a way, because you want to take those in. You want to have a line of, okay, I'm not going to let these get to me, but I'm going to see how I can improve because some of that is good feedback. Like I don't pay any attention when they rip my guests. I don't care about that, you know, because that's not feedback for me. But if they say, hey, you should do this, or hey, you should do that, or ask this question, or let the person speak, I write that down, and I remember that for the next interview.
You ever experienced a troll in real life?
No, never in person. No.
It's all the internet.
Yeah,
Because they go in on their platform. I've seen some of the comments.
Most people won't come up to you, man. You know, or they're shy, you know, they get
Anybody call
cold
you
feet.
McLovin in real life?
Yeah, I get called McLovin. I get spotted in weird places, man. I'll just be out and about, and people could get weird. Sometimes they're like, you're the guy, you know? And then you got people that just come up, say hello, you know, take a picture, and it's really cool. Like, it's a cool experience. You want to try to be as friendly as you can to people.
That's what I was afraid of. I don't want you long to jump back. I want to be too left.
Yeah, but you want to own your story is what gets you there, because you rope people in with the prison story, right, or the crime story, but at the end of every episode, what are you doing now and how did you overcome it? So the clip might not be a motivational clip, but if that clip, which is salacious, talking about someone fighting someone in prison, gets them to watch the full episode, and they hear how you change your life around, now own whatever, then it's a success.
How do you feel about recidivism? Like, you ever think if your life wasn't so successful and point is now, you think you would be back in jail?
I don't think so. I mean, I didn't do my crime intentionally. It was kind of like a big accident. So I would have just worked, I think, at Whole Foods or wherever. You know, I would have always found a job. And I guess that's always the fallback now. Like, if God forbid I lost everything, I could work anywhere. When you have a good work ethic, you could do that. You know?
Do you still have restitution?
Yeah, I pay about $1,000 a month, $1,500. When I make extra money in a month, I'll pay that. This year I paid like almost 70 grand, and I'm just hustling.
So how much do you owe total? What was your plea bargain?
The total was like 480,000. My business partner owed like 30,000, which didn't make any sense. And then that's down to like 350 now. So compared to most people, that's pretty good. I mean, these other people owe millions of dollars.
You still on parole?
No, I got off at 22. Thanks, man. You still on pro?
No, I've been out of trouble for more than 10 years.
I know, busting your chops.
Yeah, that's crazy. No curfew. You don't got to worry about it.
No, I'm good, man. Everything's. I'm here right now, right? The feds aren't going to show up.
Hopefully
not.
Hopefully not.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. Was there any times that you remember that you kind of missed prison? Because I know that people get the trauma bonding and all that stuff. And
I miss the food sometimes, or I guess some of the commissary food we'd make, but I guess the most thing is no responsibility.
Yeah.
Like now, my life's nonstop, man. Like the phone's always ringing, the texts, the calls, because you got to remember all these guests have my number, because it's important for me to be communicative with them. So when you multiply that, it compounds over time. Where every day, if I've interviewed like 300 people, so you got to think there's a few every day that want to ask me about something, or are curious, or want to stay in touch. It never ends, you know. Then when you run your own social media, it's a lot. It's a full-time gig, and the editing and the clipping and then doing the interviews themselves, you know.
Think you ever going to fall back and pass those tasks on to other people?
I think, you know, long term, I'll maybe next year if I get a book deal or something, I will hire someone that can help with more. Like I'd love to do more vlogging, like day in the life type stuff, and be like an assistant full-time, and maybe do like my episodes. But I don't think I will ever give up running my social media and making clips, because that's what I built the brand. That's what's special, you know. Those moments that I pick for a clip, that's the marketing aspect. That's teenage nightclub Ian at its peak, you know. That's able to do that. So I think that'll never change. Anyone can edit an episode. Not everyone can pick out a good clip and tell a story, and then cut that story down to a minute or less for these platforms.
Yeah, definitely tell. I noticed the podcast is a lot harder. I thought you just pick up a camera and talk in your belt, but it's a lot more behind it. Definitely.
And that's all a lot of drama on TikTok right now. Everyone's like, they shouldn't give everyone a microphone and this and that, and it's funny, you know.
How do you find the time for 4 episodes a week?
I do 5, and it's actually easy, like with AI and stuff, because I don't interrupt the guests, so it's super easy to put it together. So basically my schedule is Sundays. I'll put together the 5 episodes, export them, upload them. It takes me longer to export the episode and the quality and upload it than it does to edit it. I'll put it up, load it onto YouTube, get my title, everything, and schedule them for the week. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll make a few clips each day from those episodes. And then I wipe them off my computer and restart it Sunday.
So what time do you have to visit other platforms to do your skits and stuff like that?
I mean, that depends. Like, I'm always traveling. Tomorrow I go to Miami. I'm doing an interview every day. Like today I interviewed someone, then I came here. Tomorrow I have an interview. Like, it's nonstop. I'll take like a week off in December and a few days in November around Thanksgiving from interviewing. And then you always have cancellations. I had a guy text me, next Thursday I can't come. Or guys that just blatantly don't show up, or stuff like that. They get cold feet. I've had guys, they're so excited, this and that, and then they want to like constantly talk to you every single day about the stories. And to me, that's like a turn off. I don't want to do that. You know, like you're going to have me when we're sitting down for the episode, and that's when we're going to talk. But then they don't show up or they bail, you know?
Do you feel like you're at a point in your life where you can say you made it?
I guess so, but there's still so much more to it, you know? I mean, I'm in a unique spot where I have a profitable business that I'm able to pay my bills. And I know a lot of people can't do that. You know, I'm doing what I like to do, and I make my own schedule. And now I'm really focused on who I give my time to. And I felt like I was really getting into the rhythm. Like, I'm at a worser financial state than I was like 2 months ago, because I had clients that were paying like the studio bills and stuff. So I had like a 10 grand business a month aside from the podcast. but I realized the quality in my podcast was going down. I was spreading myself too thin, and I was only doing 3 episodes a week. So I dropped those clients, gave them off. I'm helping Matt kind of build his own business, and I am focused just on mine. I upped the episodes, and the numbers, I mean, like I shared the Spotify numbers. That's just from me dropping 5 episodes a week now. It blew up in the last month, me dialed in. So I would rather take that pay cut now and grind and go back to my roots than to one, feel overwhelmed and feel like I'm working for someone else. And I want to build my dream. I don't want to build someone else's dream. And that's what you're doing when you're editing and running socials. I had 2 phones, and I still have 2 phones. The one that's for like my YouTube lives and stuff, but I was running 5 other podcasts as social media and doing their clips and doing their editing. And I was getting burnt out, you know, and doing my own show and doing interviews. So now I'm just doing my thing. So people are like, how do you have time to do 5 episodes? I have way more time now than I ever did, 2 months ago.
It's crazy. I'm pretty sure that video will be useful for people that want advice. I never hear this type of stuff.
Well, and people hit me up all the time. I'll give them advice. Like I had a guy come on the show today, and he did the 25 years of prison. He has his YouTube channel, and he was asking, how do I take it to the next level? And I showed him like thumbnails and titles and clips. That knowledge is free. And I hate all people are like, why don't you do like those calls, like the advice calls or whatever, the consulting, this shit, come on,
You know what I noticed, the internet, because this era that we live in right now, a lot of people sell mentorship programs, and I feel like they make more money off the mentorship program than they made in the industry that they're talking about.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Real
absolutely
estate, all those type
dating,
of,
all of that shit. It help someone out. Be a good person and give them the advice. Like if you guys call me and say, hey, this, where I draw the line is, can you do the work for me? But I'll show you how to do it,
Yeah,
That's easy. That goes
I really
a long
feel like
way.
we did more than we can expect. Last time you show, you came all the way from Connecticut to Brooklyn.
I told you I would, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Man.
Yeah, the only thing I don't do is the Zoom interviews. Like people say, hey, will you do my show? Yeah, I'll do it in person. You can come to my studio and I'll film it for you. And I would offer that to you guys if you didn't have your own setup. Because I'd rather do that. I'm not going to spend time with someone. You could have no followers and I'll do your show, but it's got to be in person. This dynamic is better.
Well,
And at least I'll get some clips out of it that I could post. I won't post a Zoom interview on anything. I'm not going to do that. It's just low quality and the disconnect's not there. You hear other noises. There's a delay. Just not fun, I tell people that are doing Zoom interviews, you gotta do the real thing. And if you're gonna go all the way with this, invest some money to get the setup. Even this setup, I'm sure it didn't cost you that much.
Yeah, I think probably all like $2 grand around there.
And there's cheaper options. I know people that are hustling with iPhones. They got 2 financed iPhones and they're doing interviews with the mics, and that's great quality, You could do that with people. There's multiple things you can do.
We were worried that people wouldn't be in that some store, but it's kind of about vibe. The jury.
Yeah, do what's best for you guys.
Especially after seeing your setup, this one was definitely intimidating. His setup was amazing.
No, but I remember I didn't have that when I first started. That was months and months after, And a lot of people don't realize my setup's cheap in a sense where my rent's only $1,100.
Nice.
That was old office space that no one was ever going to rent that I got to steal on, People would think that it's a crazy amount, I mean, a studio like that, it's huge. In New York City would be, what, $5-6 grand, if that, more than that?
Probably, depending where. Your setup was nice
The
though.
level house is not a lot when it's lucrative, but when you're taking a gamble, you don't know if it's going to work.
And then there's hacks too. Like I rented the gear for a few months. I rented all that gear.
We were thinking about renting a studio, but we said that we rent, we might not commit and stay consistent.
Oh, don't rent, it's a ripoff. Like these studios in New York City for podcasting, the gear rent, take the risk on yourself, You have a place, you have this, put up more curtains if you have to,
Yeah.
But this is fine, you don't need another space, this is all you need. You got the chairs, you're good.
Well, if we get to your level, hopefully people will come by jury for me degree.
Yeah, you do a bunch of different stuff, but I'm gonna help you guys where I can with the guests, and I'll support you guys. You guys are good dudes, that's what you need.
Yeah, likewise. I got a lot of people that actually about you since you had the episode. I just didn't want to overload you with all these people hitting you up.
No,
Apparently, I have a ton of military fans.
really?
Yeah.
I've had military guests on. I like military stories, and they do pretty well in the trainings. Like hearing those stories, but yeah, no, you give my number to whoever because I want to keep booking guests. I love local guests, and I want to beat other podcasts before they get those interviews.
Not like that, yeah. I got somebody in mind, I'll tell you that.
Cool, get me whoever, guys, and we'll plug your show in every one of them.
That's really good.
Yeah, so just
Yeah, I guess if there's anything you want to add before we close out?
No, I appreciate you guys having me, man. I super appreciate this necklace. Like, you know, a lot of guests have been like bringing me cool stuff, and it's so cool. Like when someone brought me like a Funko that's locked in, and you know, this definitely tops the cake now for the coolest gift. But it's cool when people bring something. Like people bring me shirts or stickers or whatever, and I'm just like putting it in the studio and piling it up because it's like a piece of someone. That's why I take the photos of everyone that comes in. Like you guys are a journey, you're a piece of the story, you know? And I can only hope that one day, like I'll be big enough where I can put that person on, you know, who told that person no. So you know, it gets there, you know? Maybe you never know. Maybe one day I'm at the level where I'm like somewhere cool where I can help you guys like on a bigger level, you know? So it goes a long way.
And that piece was handmade too, by the way. Calvin person said the diamond ended.
Shout out to Calvin, man. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, made in-house.
This is really cool, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So I'll have to give this one to Matt then once we'll have matching ones. It'll be really
If
cool.
they ever cast you for episode hour or something, then we know you made it.
Oh, actually, maybe I'll hang when I get the new one, I'll hang this one up
Yeah.
in the studio. Or I'll put this in a frame, like in a box. I think that'll look
At
really
least you got the biggie stuff.
Yeah, we can cool. Try to do some collectibles.
Yeah, we'll do
Biggie Metro cards, the Tims.
Yeah, we'll do something. This could be cool, man.
Yeah, keep it as momentum.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right, well, we close out every episode what we call dropping a gem. You want to drop a gem for us?
If you don't
I
got
gave
one,
a lot
we
of
can.
gems, right?
Definitely get shows and somebody would pay for that if we waste again.
Yeah, I think I got. Can we just refer it back to the episode?
Oh yeah, tune into Ian Bick's channel if you want to see my prison experience when I was a teenager.
Oh, I was talking about this episode. I was
No,
plugging
you want to
myself.
take one of his gems.
Yeah, just anyone listening, you know, I gave a lot of gems this episode. I'm all gemmed out.
Yeah. It's a gem knowing that they got the information for free. He didn't charge your OnlyFans for it.
You guys are funny, man.
You got any gems you could drop?
Not at the whim. Don't go to jail. And if you do go to jail, call Ian Bick when you get out.
No good shit. You guys are funny, man.
Yes. Hey, Ian, thanks again for everything, man.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
thank you guys, man. It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you.
I'll be looking forward to seeing your channel with Locked In Peace.
Absolutely. Dude, every episode I'm going to be rocking this puppy. This thing is not coming off except for showers.
Ian Big Locked In Podcast.
Yeah, boss, go to that. You know the powers. You're right.
That was a fun episode, guys.